And we're back with yet again another update on XRP. Welcome back to the Crypto ZX channel, to the XRP holders. Appreciate you guys as always. If you have not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit that red subscribe button. But now let's get right into it. So Bitcoin ETF inflows overtake gold ETFs in the month of May. Of course, we know what happened in the month of May. In the month of May, we saw Bitcoin hitting a new all-time high, so I'm not too surprised at this. So $5.25 billion of net inflows for Bitcoin and only about 1.6 billion of net outflows for about gold. So you're looking at pretty much money could be pouring out of gold into BTC as well. That is something that we need to keep in mind. Of course, in terms of valuation, in terms of the biggest asset by market valuation, that is gold. And if you compare the valuation of Bitcoin, which again is labeled as digital gold, and of course, gold itself, there is a big difference. But this is where excitement really comes into play. This is where people are excited that Bitcoin could potentially take over gold in the next years to come. I'm not saying this is happening tomorrow, and of course there's no certainty, but based off of what Bitcoin has been able to achieve in just a short span of time, ranked as the top 5th asset globally in terms of valuation, I just personally, based off my personal opinion, I'm not writing it off by any means. But let's take a look at what's happening with the markets. If you're looking across the board, we are seeing a lot of green across the market right now. So far so good at the start of the month of June, but we're still in the weekend. On the weekends, more manipulation than usual, as we know. XRP, on the other hand, is also seeing a little bit of a minor pullback. Nothing crazy, but about 1% in USD and about 1.7% in Bitcoin comparative. Price at $2.17, the valuation at 127.7 billion, and the 24-hour trading volume at about $1.5 billion. Before we get into any further, as always, just a quick disclaimer: anything on this channel is not financial advice. Always do your own due diligence and research when you are investing in crypto. So ISO 20022 adoption forecast leading up to November of 2025. We spoke about the importance of the ISO, and this is something banks really need to implement. And of course, this is where blockchain really gets implemented and Ripple really shines. We know Ripple has all the tools to really help banks just revolutionize the way they transfer funds, but you need to see these things happening first, and then you see RippleNet really being integrated. And I think we're going to see in a few years to come this really becoming a norm where RippleNet is being used, believe it or not. But again, obviously time is going to tell. Let's take a look at this. Yes, CBDCs are stable coins and are starting to enter the mainstream. And we know about the Bank of England consulting on the digital pound, JP Morgan using the US dollar-backed JPM coin. And as ISO 20022 payment is instructions becomes more common on the network, so will XRP's use case within Swift compatible systems. Exactly what we discussed last night. The Earth port diagram shows XRP listed alongside Swift under payment instruction, which refers to the data used to move money fiat on crypto. Ripple documents further confirms that XRP-based payments rely on ISO 20022 compliant instructions, ensuring interoperability with Swift network. Here we have it. And Secretary of Commerce Howard says tariffs are not going away. I know a lot of people are going to be like, this is not good, this and that. But honestly, in terms of, the economy for the U.S. in the long term, this is the bigger, plus point. Of course, negotiations need to happen. We need to come up with like a set point, which it is happening across the, world, wherever these tariffs conversations were really happening. But they're not going anywhere. And of course, this brings people that are outside, I wouldn't say people, big corporations that are outside of the US to come back home to innovate or to just pay taxes, because it does benefit the economy, believe it or not. And, we talk about getting rid of capital gains. We talk about all of that. If that were to happen, where do you think those money that usually you do see the government getting out of these capital, when you pay capital gain tax or whatever the case may be, if they exempt that, where are they going to get those funds from? This is where the tariffs really come into the picture. So it makes sense in my books. We'll see what happens. Let me know your personal thoughts down below. So if you're looking at the dominance index, 64.48%, so we actually did go up a little bit over the last few hours. Bitcoin also has seen a new beautiful bounce towards the upside. But look at this, Bitcoin actually went up to $106,000. We spoke about the importance of that range just a few hours ago, but we got rejected at that range. But Bitcoin is looking amazing right now. Of course, we're in a weekend. On the weekends, more manipulation than usual. But if Bitcoin is able to get back above $106,000 in the next few hours to come and close, I wouldn't be surprised if we start reclaiming back above $109,000 this upcoming week. So we'll see what happens. So far, so good. I like what I'm seeing here, but we'll obviously keep you guys covered. If you're looking at XRP, still in the 38.2 fib zone. Obviously, we're kind of having a little bit of a hard time breaking out of this range. Dominance is still quite high. That is also something that we need to factor in. We do have some resistance coming at the $2.22, which again, in my personal opinion, is the next target to be looking out for XRP. If this is able to turn into support, I do personally project that we could push up to 236 and start heading back into the 23.6 fib zone. But right now, dominance is still too high. So obviously that's something we need to keep in mind, but I'll keep you guys covered. Let me know your personal thoughts down below, what you guys think, and where do you see the price of XRP going. Love you all. See you later in Crypto ZX, and peace out.